Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here and sign copies of Over It for you. We have your questions. This is Manio Mitchell. This is my 2012 Olympic teammate from London, 400-meter runner, which I recruited out to do bobsled. So he's gonna, read all your questions and go off to the side. And so just keep dropping them in if you want to. And yeah, let's get to signing some books. So a lot of you guys, one of the questions I know off the top that people probably, I'm getting this a lot is, how long did it take you to write this book? I started writing this during the pandemic. I obviously had help because it's not my main forte. So I co-wrote the book with Jason Clark, and yeah, so worked it out perfectly during the pandemic because I was completely unemployed. There were no track meets going on, no Olympics, and so we just were hammering it away. So I'm excited. First one. So what we got for the questions, Monty?
You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Daniel from Kuna, Idaho says or asks, how do you motivate yourself to keep going toward your goals when injuries in life happen?
How do I motivate myself to keep going towards goals? That's a really good question. So motivation comes in waves, and it's really hard. And sometimes you need big things to get your motivation, and sometimes it can be just small things like watching a movie or listening to a song. So like if I need smaller motivation, let's say I'm working out and I'm dragging, I will change up my music on my playlist, or sometimes I just go buy a new workout outfit. So I'm like excited to go work out. If it's something like the Olympics, which I'm draining in motivation, then I like to write goals. I like to journal. That always helps, especially because big goals need to be broken down into smaller goals. So motivation comes in waves, and just finding your niche. I love reading books for encouragement and motivation. That has been I spent many times over the weekend trying to get ready for the Olympic Games by reading and just filling my gas tank up with other people's motivational stories. So I hope that helps. That's a good question. What we got next?
All right. We have Stanley from Mooresville, North Carolina.
Hey, Stanley from North Carolina. Manny's from North Carolina as well. So he's loving that rep.
What has been the most difficult and defining moment or moments in your career?
My most difficult athletic moment would probably be either losing the Olympic gold in Beijing or not making an Olympic team. So because then you're just completely sitting at home and watching the games. And so, and it's hard, like you're seeing all the athletes that you've beaten races or, competed against, and they get to go on to the Olympics, and you're sitting at home. It can crush you. But I've always bounced back, and I've used that as motivation. 08 was particularly hard just because I was the fastest runner in the world. And to lose an Olympic gold medal, and I was one hurdle away from it, was really, really tough. And I carried that loss for me for many, many years. But then I realized I did really great things afterwards by having motivation from that failure. Like I wouldn't be a summer and winter Olympian had that not happened. So good question. Whoa, what's up next?
John from Whitesboro, New York. Lolo, I was a high school track coach for 32 years. I followed your career, which was stellar. What do you feel was your greatest achievement on the track? Thank you, John.
My greatest achievement on the track. That's tough. So I had my PB at the 2008 Olympic Games, which was obviously anytime you have a PB is incredible. But I have to say this, World Championships in Doha, Qatar, I barely made the finals. I was the returning world champion. No hurdler had ever defended her championship before. And not only did I win that race and become the first female hurdler to become back-to-back world champion, I broke the American record. I broke the world championship record. So it was a huge accomplishment, and I'm so proud of that race. Good question.
Ryan from Sturgeon. Ryan from Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin.
Hey, Ryan.
Hi, Lolo. I work a lot with youth groups in my church. Any advice you would want to give to the youth out here who struggle today to stay faithful to God in a world that often opposes gospel values?
Ooh, oh my goodness. I've seen it as well. It's really hard to talk about faith nowadays, especially for the younger generation. I've actually personally been mocked, teased, and ridiculed over my career with my faith, and even coming out openly saying that I will wait till marriage to have sex. It's just so countercultural. It's outdated. People are like, that's just not what we believe anymore. And I've been really teased about it. And so for my advice for the younger generation is just lean on God, because honestly, he's undefeated. He is so powerful. He's so mighty. There's been times where I've had a flood of trolls on my Twitter and just attacking me for losing the Olympics, attacking me for just anything that they could find their hands to just attack me. And I almost was like broken, and I just would cry out to God and just say, God, please help me. Please help me. I'm not strong enough to get through this. I need to rely on your strength. And he would provide me the strength to do that. And I encourage the younger generation, just because it is tough times. Most media is not talking about faith. And so I hope that they would use their faith to be a game changer in this world. So good question.
Let's see. Let's find us another one. Other than athletic achievements, what's been your greatest accomplishment in life? That's from William from Denham Springs, Louisiana.
Oh, we got a Louisiana question. So my greatest accomplishment other than athletic accomplishments. Definitely graduating from college, being the first one in my family to do that, because that allowed me to break the cycle of poverty. That's really been amazing. Traveling outside of the country for the first time. I never, even thought that I would leave my state of Iowa. So I take joy in the small things. Trying to think greatest other accomplishments. Let's see. I don't know. One of them I don't have a greatest accomplishment yet, but man, if I could learn to stop cursing, that would be a huge accomplishment, because as an athlete, that one's tough. So I'm still work in progress, guys.
All right, here's a good one from Gerald from Fontana, California. Which college track athlete or Olympic track and field athlete served as a mentor to you? If there was none, where did you seek, and how did you obtain even the slightest bit of guidance? That's a good question.
Yeah. Oh, mentor in track. I really didn't have one. That's crazy. I mean, I was one of the rare breeds that I watched the Olympics, but I remember growing up thinking that I was going to be a gymnastics athlete, which I don't know why, because I was already past my prime. I was in high school, and most gymnasts are in middle school, early high school. So, but I don't know. I watched the Olympics. I would watch the gymnastics athletes, and I just loved it. And so, trying to think, who else did I look up to throughout my career? When I actually started to become more of a track athlete, which is in college, and when I started to turn pro, Gail Devers was a huge inspiration, because she ran the 100 meters and the 100-meter hurdles. So, and she's just such a sweet person and very talented. And she's actually still the last person to win the 100 meters for Team USA. So she is, we need another 100-meter sprinter, because she's the one that is the last one to bring gold for Team USA. So.
Stephen from Anderson, South Carolina. What other ambitions, desires, dreams have piqued your interest to pursue once the Olympic competition career has concluded?
Oh, okay. So a lot of people want to know what I'm going to do when I retire. I get that question a lot, because people think I'm already retired because I'm so old. They're like, "Oh, you haven't retired already?" I remember this happened when I got injured one year, and so I was allowed to do the commentating for World Championships for World Athletics, and I remember just getting that adrenaline rush and just the high of interviewing other athletes, and I wasn't running, and I had the fastest time in the world, but I was injured, so I was on the sideline. I was like, "Wow, this is interesting." Like, I never thought that I would have something that would give me that adrenaline like running. And so after I compete, will definitely do more of TV commentating for sports and bring other athletes stories out. I know the power of a story. As you guys have gotten to know me over my career, I have received messages of people saying I'm an inspiration, I've helped them, and so I want to do that for other athletes. Like, I want to bring their stories out. And I'll be working with NBC's Peacock channel to highlight the Summer Olympics in a week. So I'm really excited about that. So I'll definitely move into TV media kind of outlet when I retire.
Nice. Oh, you'll like this one. From West Des Moines, Iowa.
Oh, we have West Des Moines, Iowa in the house.
Alonda asks, what advice would you give your younger self today?
Oh, so this question I love and I hate at the same time, because what advice would you give to your younger self today? The problem is I'm that type of person that believes if I tell my younger self some advice that it would change the whole course of my career. So like if I told my younger self, don't stress, like just keep working hard, you're gonna make the Olympics, then she probably wouldn't make the Olympics, because it was the uncertainty of not knowing if I would make an Olympic team. That's what made me great. And so I guess the advice I would tell myself is just like, don't hit a hurdle in Beijing so that I could get the gold medal. But I advice wise, I'd probably tell them it's going to be incredibly hard. You're going to want to give up many times, but just keep fighting. That's what I tell them. So.
All right, this one's different. We're going to go for it. Okay. Josh from Nevada, Iowa. So all the Iowans are really showing their love today.
Iowa in the house.
Lolo, I'm your biggest fan back here in Iowa. Thank you for being such an inspiration. I just wanted to know how often you come back to Des Moines, and is there any one place you just have to visit while you're here?
Oh, so when I go back to Des Moines, I love stopping by my old high school just because I think it's so pretty. Like they have a huge front yard, and just going by the track gives me tremendous flashbacks. Obviously, when I go back, I'm most of the time competing at Drake Relay, so that's cool. I get to see Drake Stadium. And then a lot has changed. Des Moines has really stepped up its game. And so some of the restaurants I used to go to are changed, or there's newer ones. But just driving around, to be honest, catching a vibe for all the new scenery. But that's it. And then seeing my dad, so those are kind of the places that I go to. So, yep.
All right. Here's one from Pablo from Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Oh, we got Argentina in the house? That's sick.
When did you start writing your wonderful book, and how long per day?
So I opened up with this a bit. I started writing during the pandemic, so I had a ton of time on my hands. And I co-wrote it, so that helped. I don't remember the hours we worked on it because it was very long sessions. And then I do remember I was finishing it during bobsled season, and we had pretty sketchy Wi-Fi, and there were a few times where I honestly thought that like my edits were lost. Like I don't know if you've ever had this moment in college where you're working on a paper and then you click something and your paper disappears. That happened a few times, and I thought that the book was completely like I lost chapters, and so I was stressing so bad a few times. But I'd say pretty much over a year it took, which is really quick. But again, I had help. And so if I was to do it on my own, it probably would have taken 20 years, since I remember in college procrastinating very late at night and turning in my papers like right at the deadline. So yeah, it was a cool process.
All right. Sue from Austin, Texas. Not really a question, but kind of vote of thanks. Good luck with your training and for the Winter Games. You've conquered so much, and more wonderful achievements are yet to come. I'm excited for your book. I'm cheering for you from Austin.
Oh, thank you, Sue, so much. I'm excited for this journey. We have Push Championships coming up in 10 days, and that will determine like the start of Team USA for bobsled. And then every month we'll just have competitions to determine who will be on that Olympic team. And I really hope that I can go back to Beijing, which is where it all started for me. I think these are gonna like topple over pretty soon. Okay.
Rigo from Calabasas, California. What keeps you motivated after all these years?
What keeps me motivated? I've been motivated by failure. I've been motivated by success. I've been motivated to just improve. So new goals always are a key motivation for me. And now at the end of my career, I would like to provide motivation for, you know, showing that it can be done at an older age, because I get it. Like the Olympics, I love the Olympics because it always showcases the young, newer athletes. And it's so hard as an older athlete because your joints and body starts to hurt. So I would just like to go represent for like the older athletes.
Gustavo from Provo, Utah. Hi, Lolo. Thanks for doing this. Your story is so inspiring because you are literally still fighting for your dreams after what happened in Beijing. Many would have crushed, or many would have been crushed, excuse me, and given up a long time ago. My question, how have you been able to keep the warrior mindset and stay in the game this entire time? It would be so easy to just quit, but you have done the opposite. That shows you are one of a kind and someone we can all learn from.
That is tremendous. Look, I know it looks like I am a tough cookie, and sometimes I am, but there have been many times where I've fallen flat on my face and wanted to quit, wanted to give up. And in those moments, I either give myself a day to just, mellow out, let the emotions calm down. It's been a long journey. I mean, 2008, that's years ago. It's like over 10 years ago. And I'm still fighting for this dream, still fighting for my first medal. I think now I have a bit more energy because it's the finish line. Like we are literally at the finish line. And so I can see it. I want to just finish strong. I always have these things in workouts where, I find the first part of the race is hard because your nerves try to get you, your doubts and fears try to attack you. Like, you're not good enough to finish this workout. You're not going to do this. Like, it's going to be too painful. It's going to be too hard. But then once you start it, it's like, it feels good and you just got to work through it. And then the end gets really tough because that's when you start to feel the lactic acid. That's when your body starts to hurt. That's, when you want to give up. And so I'm at the finish line and I'm ready to finish strong because I can see that finish line. I'm excited to try to go back to Beijing where it all started and inspire many, many people to not give up on their dreams.
All the way from Ellsford, New York, is Taylor asking, what's the most rewarding part about being a two-sport professional athlete, and what's the most challenging?
So the most rewarding part about being a summer and winter Olympian is that not many people can say that. It's a more rare stat than having an Olympic medal. So it's just an honor to be able to go to both and experience both and know the difference. And what was the second part of that? What's the most challenging? The most challenging is gaining the weight for bobsled and then losing it for track, because right now I'm about 30 pounds heavier than I would be for track and field. And it sounds fun gaining a lot of weight, and trust me, it is at the beginning, but then it just becomes a job. Like Mark Wahlberg, he just gained a whole bunch of weight for a movie and he said it's about fun for 10 minutes. And then after that, it's no longer fun. So yeah, it's gaining and losing the weight. Also, what's difficult to navigate is track and field is it's all on me. It's not a team sport. And then when you go to bobsled, you're working with, multiple different athletes, 5 to 10 different athletes and positions. And it can be really, really stressful because like in track, if I want to win a race, I know how to win. If I lose, it's all on me. But in any team sports, then there's sometimes you have to have tough talks because you have to figure out why you are losing. And then those conversations, you have to make sure that you're not doing the blame game. So that can be a really tough challenge. So.
Shane from Katy, Texas. Where do you see yourself in 10 years from today?
Oh, Shane, my sister lives out in Katy, Texas. So that's awesome. In 10 years, wow. I really hope that I have a family in 10 years. Like, I would love to have little kids running around and, just doing mom life would be awesome. And, working out, but just for fun to keep my body in shape. And yeah, 10 years. I know this sounds pretty basic, but I've lived a fast life for the last 15 years. So I would love to have a kind of chiller pace after I retire from sports. So.
Brian from West Lafayette, Indiana. Will there be a movie next?
Oh, or is there going to be a movie? I don't know. You guys read the book and let me know if the book is good enough for a movie. would be cool. Cool Runnings is one of my favorite movies, and I think it's a huge inspiration. If you haven't watched that movie, check it out. I also love Eddie the Eagle. That's another great Olympic movie to check out. Uh, there will be a movie, I think, if I can go to Beijing and win Olympic gold medal, then I think that it'd be a cool story to kind of tell. So, but if not, no.
Derek from Rochester, Michigan. Since we have the same birthday, what are you going to do to celebrate?
Oh, Derek, happy birthday. Now my birthday is August 5th. I am not doing anything to celebrate because I will be working in New York for the NBC Peacock Olympics that's going to be going down, which is oddly enough, when I retire, I actually will be excited because I'm either at the Olympics getting ready to run or at a track race somewhere in Europe. So when I retire, I'll celebrate. But if I had the opportunity to celebrate, I would probably just get a big, big cake and just eat that. I love chocolate cake and then just watch TV. I'm not one of those people that likes to go to clubs and stuff like that. I'll go every now and then, but I'm a more mellow person. So low key birthday for me.
Damon says or asks, did writing this book help cope with negativity, haters, and bad press?
That's a really good question. So when I first started writing this book, it was actually bringing out a lot of the stuff that I tried to suppress for so many years. And I was like, whoa, I thought I like handled this. I thought I had already weeded this out. My heart was healed from this experience. So it was good to kind of just re-go through it and rehash out some things. But it was a tough process. And now I'm really excited for other people to read it and kind of just, if they're struggling with certain areas in their life, to use it as motivation to overcome.
This is not a question, but I'm gonna read it anyways. From David from New York. Hi Lolo, started listening to your book on my commute to work. Soon you'll be adding New York Times best-selling author to your resume.
Somebody's listening to the audiobook. That's so cool. I was wondering about that. So I actually recorded my own audiobook and we put extra insights in there. There's like, I didn't just read the book. Like I would pause the book and then I'm like, okay, this is extra insight. And so we just did that to just make it more special. There was one moment in the book when I was reading it was really, really tough for me. And I broke down and just started crying. And so, if I get all choked up on the audiobook, I apologize. If you want to check that out on your way to work, listening to it on, your car stereo, let me know if you enjoy it. So that's cool though.
Where is the competition more competitive, in track or in bobsledding? That's from Tom.
Hey Tom, so the competition is way more competitive in track. We'll have girls that we leave behind that should have made the Olympic team that could medal. So that's how competitive it is. Like the US only takes the top 3 girls and the United States for the Olympics. Your 4th, 5th, and 6th place girl, if you were to take them to the Olympics, they probably could medal. So that's how competitive USA track and field is. Bobsled's competitive in different ways, but just the depth, hands down, goes to track and field for sure. Oh,
just a couple more.
Couple more questions. Did I sign this one? I can't remember. Yeah.
Let's see. Any diet, exercise, and motivation tips for women older than you? It's Susan from Tennessee.
Hi, Susan. So diet and exercise tips that I give my mom. I love seeing her in the pool because, as she's gotten older, arthritis has set in. And so pool workouts do a tremendous amount for her, pool and bike workouts, because she's able to work out without the load of per se of running. She has like a bad knee. So running actually will hurt her knee. So when she does those exercises, it takes the load off. And then she's a big time walker. And so just doing that, like picking up the pace on the walking, and then trying to think what else. Also just being diligent about making sure she's taking her omegas, like more diligent on like vitamins and supplements. because she's not as good about getting it in her like food, like her dietary supplement. And I even take supplements and I eat really healthy. So I would just say those are the keys or tips that I would give someone who's older than me for workout or health tips.
Got one more.
One more question.
Let's see. Hi Lolo, it's Liv from Nashville, Tennessee. You're a hype man from Instagram. Ha ha ha. Is there anything you know now or would have done differently now that you wish you would have done in your 20s? Love you immensely. Love you immensely, sis.
Well, I'd probably say
She also said come to Nashville.
Come to Nashville. I didn't know I was gonna go this long without finding my husband. So I probably would put more of a focus on like dating in my 20s, because it's definitely way harder to date in your 30s, especially late 30s. So I just was so focused on training. I never went out. I probably would have eased up some and like went on more dates. So yeah, that's probably what it was, or that I would change. So that's a really good question. I'm trying to think anything else that I would change up, but no, I'm pretty happy with everything else. I guess, Monty, do you have any questions? Or, I mean, you got my book. Did you read it yet?
Yeah, I've started reading it. So far, so good.
What chapter are you on?
I'm still on
first chapter. So you're in Beijing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would plan to read some tomorrow after ice time. Get a little bit more in. But yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes, because obviously we're friends, but I don't know everything. So it's gonna be cool to get that deeper insight on a little bit about your life.
I know. But I think I'm curious to see what you guys think of how I started running when you guys start reading the book. Because most people assume it's from like summer track teams, but
Right.
Actually it's because my family never had a car. So we had to walk.
That's not funny, but it's funny.
We had to walk and run everywhere.
For sure.
But yeah, so I think we're almost out of signing books too. I don't know if anybody watched. I did the Today Show with Hoda and Jenna, and talked about one of the chapters that was in the book, which was my decision to wait and not have sex until marriage. And so that was a tough one, because I did not want to write that chapter, because I've talked about it in the past and I've gotten a lot of hate over it. And so I was really nervous to talk about it, but I'm glad I have, because people have been DMing me all day and sharing their testimonies as well, whether they didn't wait till marriage, whether they're waiting, just having conversations with people has been awesome. So I just appreciate everybody who sent me a DM. Send me a DM if you're in the live tonight. Send me a DM if you have the book. I've been reposting that. I can't wait to see some of you guys' reviews. Really let me know how you think of the book, what you like, what chapters stood out for you. Yeah, that's the fun part as the author, is like having those moments where somebody put today a DM and they highlighted certain parts of the book, and I was like, wow, like that's like seeing what stands out for people is incredible. So and if you guys are wondering where I'm at right now, I'm in the Olympic Training Center in Lake Placid, New York. So I'm out here because we have push championships for USA Bobsled in a few weeks. So that will be a pretty good competition. So look at this stack of books. It's like kind of crooked, like topple over. So did any other questions? Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I can read. Yeah. Guess I can read part of the book. Should I just randomly pick a spot to read? Oh my gosh, this is tough. What part do you want me to read, Monty?
Let me just pick. Because you know the book. You know the whole book. All right, we're gonna.
He's just literally closing his eyes and just gonna.
Here, I'll put my hands here so you guys can see I'm doing this.
Oh my.
Boom. We're gonna go there. Everybody see it? Oh wow.
What? Oh, this is the going pro part where it's talking about the money, which is spot on for what's going on right now with the Olympic Games. And most people have no clue how Olympians make money. And so I talk a little bit about that. So going pro, Professional track and field isn't like professional baseball or football. In those sports, if you excel in college and then go pro, you get a payday. If you sacrifice everything to be one of the best in college, you get financially rewarded. Unfortunately, going pro in track and field is about so much more than hurdling. You could be the 8th best hurdler in the world and still need to borrow a quarter at your local laundromat. In my first 2 years as a professional athlete after college, I actually lost money. So I didn't sign a big Nike contract, Asics contract, nothing. I didn't have a contract. And so I actually had to pay out of pocket to go to Europe and run races. It's completely different from going pro in other sports. So it's like, can you spare a quarter? Upon graduating, I found myself suddenly navigating agents, media, donors, sponsorships, or lack thereof. Then there were the endless financial pressures and limitations around training, travel, and recovery. Add to that the bills associated with life like rent, water, and electricity, and I was broke. This is a typical story for most track and field athletes who try to go pro. Here's how going pro works. An average pro season for a hurdler is between 20 and 30 races or meets a year, starting in late winter through early spring with indoor 60-meter meets and then continuing into the summer months with outdoor 100-meter meets. We compete all over the world for prize money that matches the different levels of competition. The higher the level of competition, the more we can earn. Early in my career, I primarily competed in the lower level races where I could earn $500 to $1,000 by placing first through third. So I would go to these races and I would like a good payday would be $1,000. Well, you forget that a plane ticket to Europe is about $500 to $1,000. So that's how you come in the red really quickly. And at those races, if you weren't top 3, you weren't making any money. So I think that should be illegal. They shouldn't have track races where only top 3 get paid money, but they do. Even Drake relays recently, only the top 3 athletes would get money. So you have 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th who fly out there on their own dime and they don't get paid. Now, if you think about NFL players or NBA players, top 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down to 20 get paid. So that's the difference between our sports. But wait, there's more. A lot of people don't know that while a track meet organizer might supplement travel costs most of the time, expenses fall on the athletes. This means that even if athletes place in the top 3, they still have to subtract those costs. So in some races, if I didn't place in the top 3, I could actually lose money, which has happened. For this reason, to compete professionally, I didn't just have to push myself physically, mentally, and emotionally. I also had to push myself financially. I had 3 jobs, and only one of them was a professional athlete. The other 2 were at Home Depot's garden center and a gym where, when I wasn't making smoothies, I was checking people in and cleaning gym equipment. In those first 2 years as a pro, I had to cover travel, food, and sometimes even lodging for myself and my coach. Also, I could compete for a chance to win enough money to cover travel, food, and lodging. Then I'd return to my jobs at Home Depot and the gym and to the LSU track where I'd train in 95-degree weather and then go home on my scooter to recover in a 105-degree apartment because I couldn't afford to turn on the air conditioning. So I would do that to save money. I wouldn't turn on my air conditioning, which was really stupid because you cannot recover as an athlete if you're sweating in a house. But I just had no money. I was trying to pinch pennies every way I could. I had a scooter. My scooter's pretty solid. Had it for many years. I was basically living the life of a broke college athlete, even though I was graduated from college. I couldn't get a real job, like a real 9-to-5 salary job, because if I got that kind of job, then I would not be able to travel and run track races. So that was the dilemma. So that's why a lot of Olympic athletes, even though they have college degrees, they'll go work like as a substitute teacher, or they'll work part-time in a gym, because then they can leave when they need to for a competition and come back and still have a job. So life was an exhausting balancing act of competing, working, and training. Also, I could risk everything to be a professional track and field athlete. I remember competing in a pro race in California and the next day making smoothies for people at a gym when the race, which was telecast a day later, came on TV behind me. The people around me were like, "Wait, isn't that you?" Yeah, welcome to the life of a professional track and field athlete. And I'm not done counting the expenses. On top of all the travel expenses, there are the training costs. Once you go pro, your coaches and trainers charge you. Using a school's facilities can also cost money. Though LSU has been good to me, the most I've heard college charging an Olympian is $20,000 per season just to use their track. Then there is a rigorous physical schedule that puts wear and tear on your body and requires massages and chiropractor treatment. Most athletes get 1 or 2 massages a week because of the beating their bodies take. Add to that the possibility and likelihood of injury, which means doctors and surgery and physical therapy. It all costs money. Why am I telling you this? Well, first, because it's my story and I'm proud of how hard I've worked. But second, it's not just my story. American pro track and field athletes sacrifice so much for a chance to compete in a multi-billion-dollar industry called the Olympics. Yes, multi-billion dollars is how much the Olympics makes. And how much do they pay the athletes? I write a whole chapter on it. So a multi-billion-dollar industry called the Olympic Games, which actually does very little to supplement the athletes in their preparation and pays nothing to those who compete in the games. I know a lot of Olympians and Olympic hopefuls who rack up $40,000 to $60,000 in credit card debt because that's about how much it takes to properly train for the Olympics. Give me a moment to get on my soapbox. Most Olympians are ridiculously poor. This is primarily true around the world, but my focus is on the American athletes and the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic committees. According to a 2012 income survey cited by Forbes, half of the athletes ranked in the top 10 of their events in the U.S. earn less than $15,000 annually from all sources of income. $15,000 per year for all sources of income. So I really just dive deep into that because it's very heartfelt, especially now I'm seeing a lot of athletes struggle more and more. The prize money has gone down significantly in track and field. Athletes are really, really struggling. And it's hard to see because when the Olympics airs, you're going to see those commercials play. You're going to see, the attention on all these incredible athletes. Well, they don't have any rights to those commercials, or they don't even have rights to their own image. So I just think that the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, should do a better job of revenue sharing from the games to hand down to the athletes. The athletes that compete at the Olympics, they don't get paid a dime, not one dime. The Olympics comes every 4 years. You think about the NBA championships, and those NBA players will get a huge bonus for making the NBA team. And the athletes that go to the Olympics, they get nothing. Top 3 get a medal, but after that, absolutely nothing. So I just think the IOC should do a better job with that. And I hope that my book puts pressure on them. I hope that after people read it, they would be encouraged to speak up. And I think it could be a game changer for a lot of athletes that are really struggling. So I go on to this and talk about, you'll often see Olympic athletes setting up fundraisers to pay for their parents' travel costs to the Olympic Games. Even though the Olympics is a multi-billion-dollar industry, the athletes struggle to pay electric bills, work at minimum wage jobs, and set up GoFundMe pages just so their parents can go to the games. Meanwhile, the International Olympic Committee, the IOC, which calls its presidents and executives volunteers, gives cash handouts, not salaries, in the realm of $250,000 annual allowance and $900 per diems, respectively. My friend Peter Carl, who manages Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps and is the managing director of the Olympic Action Sports Division at Octagon, helped me compile some data to highlight the financial disparity athletes face. So we just really went in, and if you love the Olympics, you love Olympic athletes, or if you like stats, I think you'll really love this chapter. What did you think about that chapter?
Which one?
The one I just read, or you were just on your phone playing?
No, it's sad that, athletes do not make
any
tons of money, because on the outside looking in, you would think,
that we make a lot of money.
We make a lot of money, and some of us do.
Some of us do, but it's a small percentage.
But it's a very, right.
And you have to really work hard. Like the athletes that are making that money, you have to really work hard, and it's all dependent on sponsors. So I break it down how an athlete can make that money, how they can make to the top, but it can be all wiped away. Like if you get injured, you can literally so I remember I made a ton of money one year at World Championships because I won, and that's the race I talked about earlier where I became back-to-back world champion. So I made all this money was coming in, but in the back of my mind, I was like, you need to save this money because anything can happen. You could get hurt. And 2 years later I was hurt. So I got no money that year. So I had to use all the money from that good year to just keep me in the game for competing. So very good stuff. I don't know if there's any more questions that came through. I've enjoyed chatting with you guys. I think I have a few more books to sign. Let's see. Okay. A few more books to sign and then I'll wrap up. I've enjoyed hanging out with you guys. You guys had some really good questions. Any more questions, just feel free to DM me. Feel free to DM me your copies of your books with you in the books, wherever you're reading that. I would love to see that. Curious to see what your favorite chapter will be. And then sign my last book and then we'll head out. Last one. So yeah, so if you have the book, love it. The Audible, remember the Audible has extra things on it, extra spice, more tea, and I hope you really enjoy it. And then I hope to make you guys proud and make this Winter Olympic team and let this whole journey come full circle. So this is my last book I'm signing for tonight. Thank you guys so much for checking out over it. Thank you for reading it, and thank you so much for your support over all these years. I know it's been a rocky ride. I cannot wait to share all the details of it, and then I am working so hard every day to finish this journey strong. Thank you so much, you guys. See ya.
Oh, hey there, this is Eric from Live Signing. If you enjoyed this live stream, you should subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out some of our other featured authors. Thanks for watching.